Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Meg and this channel is all about empowering you guys to live healthy and free in your mind, in your body, and in your spirit. Something that I struggled with for a really long time was having a healthy relationship with my body and with food. So that is what today's video is going to be all about. Specifically, we are going to be talking about anorexia. I am so passionate about this topic because I struggled with anorexia for about 3 or 4 years of my life. From the time I was 17 to about 21, I really struggled with being deep in anorexia, as well as later on having still some tendencies that really disrupted how I viewed myself and how I viewed other people even. If you are out there right now and you are struggling with anorexia, or you know somebody who is struggling with anorexia, I just want to tell you guys that this video, I am praying, brings you so much life and freedom, and that you know that you are not alone. And if you know someone that's struggling with that there is truly hope for them. Now, today I'm going to be defining exactly what anorexia is, distinguishing the difference between anorexia and orthorexia. So anorexia and orthorexia. A lot of people get those confused and they can be very similar, but I'm going to tell you guys why they're different. And then I'm also going to be sharing with you guys how I overcame my eating disorder and practical tips that I really think could help someone in that position without feeling like they are crazy and they need to drastically change a bunch of things about their life. Anorexia is such a mental game that you really have to start small. So I'm going to be giving you guys some tips of where to start with that. So without further ado, we're going to start with what exactly is anorexia. Well, according to the Mayo Clinic definition, anorexia is when you are obsessed with food and being thin, sometimes to the point of deadly self-starvation. Now, I can identify with this definition from way back when I was 17 because I got to the point where I was so obsessed with being thin and being a certain weight. Weight was a huge thing for me. I would weigh myself multiple times a day, that I got to where I was 95 pounds. I believe that was the lowest I ever got. It might have been even down to 90 at one point. But I remember stepping on that scale one time during the day, out of the multiple times a day that I had weighed myself. And that's when the reality of how serious anorexia is hit me, because I remember seeing a number on the scale that was lower than I had ever seen before. And in the moment, it gave me both a mix of like satisfaction, like, wow, I achieved this. I achieved being this thin and I have so much self-control. So I had in one moment feeling that, but then I also felt, wow, I am really underweight. I could die. And looking in the mirror and finally realizing I can see parts of my body and like my veins and my skeleton underneath that I had never seen before. And in that moment, I remember becoming aware of I could die. Like if I get more underweight, I could literally not be on this planet anymore. And that's when I kind of started to make changes towards freedom. So if you identify with any of these things that I am about to list off, you may be dealing with anorexia. And those things are refusal to eat and denial of hunger, an intense fear of gaining weight, excessive exercise, a negative or distorted self-image, flat mood or lack of emotion, irritability, which just means you get easily agitated and upset by things, fear of eating in public, preoccupation with food, just meaning you're very obsessed with food, calories, macros, all that stuff, social withdrawal because of food, meaning you wouldn't go out to parties and different events because of the food that may be presented to you and you just don't want to even give yourself an option to do that, and you'd just rather stay home and control your food. Thin appearance, trouble sleeping, soft downy hair present on the body, which I had a lot of when I struggled with anorexia, menstrual irregularities or loss of menstruation, which happened to me. I lost my period for 3 or 4 years because I struggled with this, and my hormones also changed negatively as well. My testosterone levels raised a lot when I was struggling with anorexia. Constipation, abdominal pain, dry skin, frequently being cold, and low blood pressure. There are a couple more other side effects or signs of anorexia, but those are the main ones, and I will say I dealt with probably 90 to 95% of those. If you maybe can identify with a couple of these, you might just maybe have a negative relationship with food in your body, but maybe not struggling with anorexia. Again, I'm not a doctor, I cannot diagnose anyone. So if you feel that you are struggling with this, I would seek help immediately, whether it's talking to a counselor, talking to your doctor, or just someone that you trust and you feel like you can be open with. Talking about fears regarding our food and body takes a lot, even for people that don't struggle with eating disorders. Being able to say like, hey, I don't feel good about myself and I don't feel good about these habits that I have and I want to change that. I just want to say I'm with you, I am cheering you on, and I promise you that freedom is on the other side of your vulnerability and of your honesty and opening up about this, because that's the only way you're going to get healing, is by opening up and being ready to take the full dive into this process, even when it is painful, because healing is painful, but it's so worth it. And it produces a life of fruitfulness. And I hope that that's what you guys get again today. Now, I feel like I already touched on the seriousness of anorexia through my own journey and experience, but I just want to reiterate that it's serious because of loss of menstruation and also because of the blood pressure and like heart rate becoming lower and lower. That is a really scary thing. Because our period especially is a sign that our body is doing what it is supposed to do. Having a period is like honestly a gift. When I got my period back after not having a period for years, I was crying. I was rejoicing because I knew like my body was finally working right again, and I had the possibility of being able to carry life in the future. So the next time you have your period, just think about that. I know it can be annoying and painful, but it means that your body is doing what it is supposed to do if you're having a healthy and a regular period. Now, orthorexia is more a fixation on eating healthy, less of a fixation on being thin or a certain weight, but more about the types of foods that you are eating. For example, someone who is orthorexic, they may be super obsessed with just eating non-processed foods, which is great. Like eating non-processed foods is great, but so obsessed to the point where they will freak out, they will panic if those options aren't offered to them. Ways that you can identify if you have orthorexia is if you wish that you could occasionally just eat and not worry about food quality. Again, not quantity, but quality. And wishing you could spend less time on food, more on living and loving. Again, your mind, this is where it's similar to anorexia. Your mind is just consumed with the health and the quality of the food that you're eating, so much so that it keeps you from actually living your life, and you start just stressing and obsessing over like everything being organic or everything being a certain way or vegan or whatever it is. Like if that is right for you, then definitely do that. But orthorexia takes it so much to like a deeper level where you are just obsessed with getting things perfect, getting things exactly right. It's another form of control, and that's why people get them mixed up a lot of times. Those are just some basic ones. If you guys want to look more into orthorexia, I would recommend, doing a Google search, looking on WebMD, Mayo Clinic. All of those sites are really good, and I'm sure they have specific sites for orthorexia recovery as well. So today we're just going to focus on anorexia. And again, anorexia is obsession with thinness and appearance, while orthorexia is more obsession with food quality and eating certain types of foods. The two can be mixed together. Now to the good part, guys. This is the part that helped me so much. The practical tips that I want to give you guys, or tips that you can share with other people that you know may be struggling with that. And number one is to not cut out exercise completely. When I first discovered that I was struggling with anorexia, I'm gonna tell you guys, I didn't know I was struggling with anorexia. I thought what I was doing was completely justified and healthy because I was still eating, mind you, but I was eating just enough that I knew I would be able to burn it off. And I would run for hours a day, and I would look at the calories on the thing to see how much calories I burn and see if the calories that I burn was more than the calories that I ate. I know it sounds crazy. It sounds like a crazy person, but when you have a goal and you're so motivated by that goal to be thin, whether it's to be thin for modeling, to be thin for a relationship, to be thin for whatever it is, it can like go to such unhealthy things, like to the extent of anorexia even. Now I want to say that wanting to look your best, wanting to look good, wanting to be fit, it's not a bad thing to like want those things, but it's when that becomes your whole entire world and that's all you care about. That's when it becomes a dangerous thing. But back to my first point, don't cut out exercise completely, because odds are if you're struggling with this eating disorder, you have a lot of mental torment going on in your brain. And if you cut out exercise cold turkey to help you gain healthy weight, to become a healthier person and not be in that state, it's gonna mess with your mind. That's something that my doctor told me to do. The first doctor that I saw when I was struggling with this was to stop exercising, and that caused me to panic. I was like, well, I can't. I'm gonna get fat. I'm gonna gain all this weight. When in reality, like, I did have weight to gain, but I had to slowly show myself mentally that if I stopped working out a little bit, I wasn't going to get fat. And so that's what I did. I started with, instead of running for like 4 hours a day, I started to just run for an hour to an hour and a half. And I gave myself grace. If I didn't feel like running one day because I was so exhausted, or I just had a lot to do that day, I would try not to do it, and I would distract myself with other things, with the work that I had to get done, or with spending time with my family and friends. I really tried to fill my mind with other things, and I think that is the key whenever you're giving up anything, is you have to fill yourself with something to either help replace it or help keep your mind away from that thing that you are trying to get rid of and trying to break free from. So that's what I would say. Take small steps. Start maybe cutting the time you exercise in half, maybe cutting it down by 25%, or whatever you can do to help get you back to a place slowly where you can see exercise as a way to just keep in shape and be healthy versus to burn a ton of calories and to stay extremely thin. Which leads me into my second point. Maybe try resistance training, because resistance training will help your body build muscle. And when your body builds muscle, you will see the scale increase because muscle weighs more than fat, but it will allow your appearance to still look pretty lean. So if you're doing a ton of cardio right now, focus on doing a little bit of cardio still, again, for the mental thing, until you can kind of break out of that obsessiveness with burning calories and start switching to resistance training and lifting weights, because it will also help you mentally when you start eating more food as well. And you see that I can eat a little bit more food and it's not going to cause me to look overweight or, make me wear a bigger clothing size or whatever it is, even though that might be your end goal, is to be a bigger size because you're at a very, very unhealthy place with yourself right now. Again, we've got to take this slow. So resistance training. And the third tip is to start being mindful when you're eating. Mindfulness is a journey, so have grace with yourself. But start trying to practice mindfulness while you're eating whatever meal, and that just looks like checking in with yourself and really eating until you're full versus eating until you hit a certain calorie point, like saying, I'm only going to eat up to 300 calories for dinner, and it doesn't matter if I'm still hungry, I'm not going to eat anymore. Instead of thinking about it that way, think about still eating foods that you feel like are safe foods for the time being, but eat them until you feel like you're fully satisfied, because that will prevent you from later on feeling like you have to overeat in front of other people to make them think that you are okay and that you're not struggling with it, because that can end up leading to binge eating, bulimia, other things that we don't want, because when you've been restricting for so long, your body goes into starvation mode and it will just want to eat everything when you start to just go crazy with all the junk food. I know it's easy to want to do because I've been there, and we'll touch on that in the binge eating. Start with just trying to check in with yourself. If you have anorexia, you're also probably like your stomach has shrunk a lot, so it may be really hard to differentiate when you're completely full, but just try it out. Try it a little by little, and maybe to each meal add a little teeny bit more like avocado or more fats than you would normally eat. Add a little teeny bit more protein, a little bit more carbs, trying to avoid looking at the calories and eating until fullness. And tip number 4, this has to do with mental and spiritual health as well. And that is to tell someone about it, which I mentioned already before. Just tell someone that you trust, and ask for help, even if it's calling a hotline for anorexia recovery or looking up a website or some type of therapy program. Telling someone is going to help you so much, because it's going to feel like, oh, I told one person, I can open up to someone else. And getting more insight from other people that have dealt with it before, or maybe just a trusted friend, that is going to make you feel validated and make you feel like you are not alone, because you are not. There are so many who struggle with this. And I hope and I pray that one of those people that you tell reminds you that you are worth more than your weight and more than your appearance. I mean, I'm going to be one of those people right now, and I am going to tell you that you do not have to look a certain way to find love, or to be successful in life, or to be worthy of whatever it is that you're trying to achieve. Your life is so much more than your appearance. When we die, I know this sounds morbid, but guys, when we are no longer here, we're not going to be remembered by how thin we were, or how much we weighed, or how much we could lift. No one is going to remember those things about us. That's not what sticks out about our life. What sticks out about our life is how we loved and how we poured into other people, and the difference that we made. And it's really hard to make a difference in the world when you're so obsessed with your own world. Guys, I wish I could just be there with you right now and hug you, because I never thought I would find myself in a place where I was not thinking about food, and where I was not consumed with how my body was going to look in a certain outfit, or what somebody else was thinking about my body, or if that guy thought I was attractive because I was maybe not thin enough. There is freedom. So I'm gonna stop myself now, because I feel like I'm just gonna go on this mushy gushy session. But if you would like more tips or more advice, please reach out to me via my email or my Instagram. I am here for you guys. I'm here to pray for you if you would like. If not, I am here to give you any insight, any experience about what I've gone through as well, and just to encourage you guys in your journey. Those are the main tips that I have for you guys today. Again, don't forget to subscribe and to like this video, especially if you want to stay tuned for my next video about how I overcame binge eating and things that really helped me overcome that. And then I'm going to bring it full circle with another video that just kind of wraps up and ties up all the loose ends for you guys. So if you want to stick around for that. Also, I don't know if this hat is giving anyone else Mayim Bialik vibes, but I am feeling so hardcore 90s right now. But you know what? We're just gonna rock it. Shout out, comment below if you guys were a 90s kid. I was born in 95. If you remember Maya Bialik and her big flower hat. I'm just curious to see who else remembers those shows out there. Anyways, that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.